This is the Ladakh Jacket from Rab. This is one of their classic walking coats. Mountaineering, you name it, this jacket is pretty much designed to take it on in the UK. Had it now for about 8 months, so I got it just towards the end of last summer, and now we're into March and we're here in the southern Cairngorms doing a bit of mountaineering, camping, and that's going to be the final test for the jacket. So far we've had it a lot of walks in the North York Moors area. I've also used it a lot as an urban jacket, which I think is one of the things that this jacket kind of does well. I think now I've got a really good handle on the jacket, and as I said, by the end of this weekend I will really know what the jacket is capable of. But before we get into that, we'll have a look at the jacket itself. It's Gore-Tex in its membrane construction, but there is two different types of Gore-Tex in here. We've got Pro Shell in the dark green areas, and we've got Performance Shell in the light green areas. And they've also got different face fabrics. Now, face fabrics are something that people often get a little bit confused and a bit lost with. Why are some Gore-Tex jackets 200 quid? Why are some 400 quid? Well, that's partly down to the Gore-Tex, it's partly down to the construction as well, the stitch count, how it's been put together, but it's also down to the face fabric. And I would argue actually face fabrics are probably one of the key elements of a jacket that's often ignored. That's the part of the jacket that gets contact obviously with the outside world, but more importantly, that's the part of the jacket that takes on the water repellent coating that allows the jacket to do its job in the first place in terms of beading off that water and stopping it from being an unbreathable jacket. And also the other thing you've got to remember is when an area wets out, that's moving heat away from you because of that wet so much quicker than if it was something that had beaded off. So the dark green's the Pro Shell, and this is the 70 denier fabric. What does that mean? It means basically it's a little bit more rugged, and as we saw in the climbing we did in the lakes, that was, I'm not a great climber, I'll be honest with you, and because we were in boots and it was a bit slippy, I was close to rock and putting my arms and using my entire surface of my arms sometimes, it really did put up with that well. So yeah, the Ladakh as a climbing jacket, really rate it. Just didn't restrict my movement at all. There was some sweaty moves, shall we say, on there, and it didn't particularly give me any kind of like moisture issues or anything like that. Felt that the Pro Shell areas were rugged, so I just didn't think about, you know, rubbing or anything like that. It's been a bit of a messy route in that sense, so yeah, really pleased with it. It definitely works with a harness. It's definitely a climbing jacket, or a jacket you can climb in. So I think we've proved that today. The other thing I'll say about it is it really takes a DWR as well. This really beads off well. And the main body, that's a 40 denier fabric now, so it's a lot softer, it's got a nicer handle to it, but it's not as hard wearing. Now again, I've used this quite extensively and it's not particularly showing any signs of wear. I've got a few scratches on the front here caused by, again, the climbing I've done in it. And you know, any jacket, I think if you abuse it long enough, will show signs of wear. It is a full bore technical jacket. We talked about the urban side of things, but the hood, it's a brilliant hood. All the features you would expect in a mountaineering hood. Wired peak, you can really get it hunkered down, so that's adjustment for the top of the head. It's also got a volume adjuster on the neck area, so you can bring it all in, stop it flapping around and get that really good fit to articulate in bad weather, certainly in mountainous areas. Arms are all articulated, there's nothing that's going to stop you from moving, and again on the climbing day that we did, it just didn't restrict my movement at all, which is exactly what you want in that kind of jacket, in that kind of scenario. Really like the cuffs as well. You've got this little guard area here, just this little hanging over bit here, and that it helps protect the top of your hand. A little detail, but a really nice one. And again, I think that's the kind of the hallmark of a good mountaineering jacket, a good walking jacket, that it has these little elements of detail that bring it together to make it an exceptional jacket when it's quite a crowded market. We have the Easy Zip, which has obviously the tab on it, which makes it easy for moving it up and down with gloves. And again, the bottom one, which again is useful for windy days that you want to vent on. And you've also got the Preston at the bottom to bring it all in if you need to. YKK zip, and it's quite a chunky zip, and I do like thicker zips. I think the thin zips are used to cut down on weight. Yeah, it cuts down on weight, but what it really does is cut down on durability on the most important zip you've got. Obviously, again, in a mountaineering jacket, what we'd expect in a Gore jacket is venting zips, easy to use, two-way zips as well, so you can choose your venting options. a really useful feature. When I'm sweating up there tomorrow with my big pack on, that will be an absolute godsend. It really will. So pocket wise, we've got two generous hand pockets, but again, as you saw when we were climbing, obviously I was wearing a harness. They're absolutely harness compatible pockets, but they're not too high up. And then you've also got this really quite generous chest pocket here, and I've got my big gloves in there ready for tomorrow. And so you can see it swallows a pair of big gloves like that without too much of an issue. AquaGuard zips throughout as well, and that's not guarantee of waterproofness, but it does give a hell of a lot of water resistance to anything you're going to put in these pockets. And then obviously, as you would kind of expect, there's just a little key wallet pocket. Again, don't use that to be honest very much, but it is there. It's been a while since I've owned a hard shell, so one of the things I've definitely noticed with this jacket is that they've upped their breathability game somewhat. And again, certainly in the lakes, we were working pretty hard. It was a fairly cold day, but still on some of that mountain route, some of the pitches were demanding, and I never noticed any kind of moisture build-up. I was really impressed by that side of things. And also, as we've discussed already with the face fabrics in use in sort of the heavier rain that I've encountered around the local area, it's beaded off very well and dealt with that very well. So I think the fabric combination and the fabric itself deals with moisture in an exceptional way. And I think Gore is one of them companies that's very annoying in terms of hiding statistics and not talking about statistics, but I suspect in the 10 years since I've had a hard shell that the breathability side of things has moved on considerably. So we're going to try it out tomorrow, the final test, backpacking. So far we've done the climbing, we've done the sort of longer, easy local walks up in the North York Moors, some of the stunning places that I love to go and hike. And for those two, it's done absolutely great. Also as an urban jacket, it's done absolutely great. But to me, the true test, the litmus paper test of a jacket of this nature is how it does on a multi-day event up in them there hills in the snow and the rain. So let's go and find out. Here we are on the summit. It's been a struggle to get up here, the wind's really picking up. Made it. So, we got to the summit of Loch Nagar, me and John, and wow, it was proper gnarly up there. At one point, unfortunately, the GoPro camera died, and John was on a little bit of ice. We didn't get our crampons on because it was just little bits here and there, and then there was like soft ground and soft snow. He put his boots down and his poles down to cross this little bit of ice, and a big gust came along and it literally pushed him. That's how kind of the conditions were up there. So we made the call to come off the mountain and go there another day. And so the Ladakh has had now a Scottish winter day. It was going to get a Scottish winter weekend, but these things happen. It's the Highlands, it's winter. You've got to take into account the dangers, and it was just unrealistic to stay up there in a safe manner, or certainly to sort of be able to do the goals we wanted to do. But the jacket itself, I think now in those conditions, is a true test. We had some snow, we had some rain, we had some very heavy winds pushing that rain as well. And while it did wet out internally, but to be honest, I was working so hard. I've got a 16 kilo pack on. Anything would have wetted out at that point. It was just my sweat versus an incredibly wet environment. But it looked after me, it really did. I think ultimately the 70 denier face fabric works a lot better. As you can see, it's actually dry pretty much already. There's a little bit of wetting out here, where the 40 denier, the green, it's kind of, it is drying out in places, but it's not taken the DWR as well. It's not as that water repellency. So I think that's an interesting one to take back. But now we've climbed in it, it's proved a really good climbing jacket. It's got one thing I didn't mention, it's actually got a helmet compatible hood, so it's all there to do that kind of thing with as well. We've climbed with it, we've done local walks in it, nice happy walks, on the North York moors, and some quite long, harder ones as well. And again, really nice jacket to walk in those circumstances. And you know, in the dry, it really keeps you dry as well. So that's another great thing as a kind of jacket to walk in, as a windproof as well. Not on the wet days. Again, it's a nice jacket to do that. As an urban jacket, again, you don't feel out of place, and again, it's really waterproof, so it's great for walking around town when it's raining really hard. And now we've had a Scottish Mountain Day, so ultimately, in conclusion, it's a really good jacket. It's not the highest mountaineering jacket they do. It's not like a dog walking jacket either. It's a really good UK specific mountain, moorland, urban jacket for the kind of mountaineer like myself that does a little bit of everything and not particularly high end. And yeah, I'm really impressed with it. Really well cut, really well tailored, and Rab put together an excellent jacket, and I do thoroughly recommend it.